You ever do everything right for a woman? Treat her with respect, stay loyal, make her feel secure, and still feel like you're competing with a ghost? She tells you you're amazing, that you're what she's been looking for all these years, but somehow she's still emotionally chasing the one who never treated her right in the first place. You can't build a future with someone who's still grieving their past. And what most men don't realize is this happens all the time. There's even a term for it in the red pill world: alpha widow, or past tense, alpha widowed. And that's when a woman becomes emotionally stuck on the man who left the deepest mark, even if he didn't deserve her in the first place. Imagine doing everything right, cooking for her, listening, showing up, only to realize she still dreams about the guy who made her cry. That kind of experience, it hardens a man. It makes you pull back, stop giving, stop caring, because deep down, you start thinking, what's the point of being good if good never wins? But here's why it happens: it's literally not about you, it's about emotionally imprinting and how women do this. Okay. When someone ties chaos to love, peace feels unfamiliar. So when you bring calm, she doesn't feel chemistry. She feels confusion because it's not what she's used to. So in this video, I want to break down what it really means to be alpha widowed and why this mindset damages good men, and how to recognize it when you're loving someone who's still living in the past. I'll also show you how to keep your heart strong without letting someone else's brokenness turn you bitter. Because the goal isn't to be colder, it's to be wiser. So let's break it down. What alpha widowed actually means, what it really means. When you hear the term alpha widowed, it sounds like another internet buzzword, but it's describing something real. It's when a woman gets emotionally stuck on a man from her past, usually one who made her feel something powerful, strong emotions. He might have been toxic, unreliable, maybe even flat out disrespectful, but he left a mark. Not because he was good for her, but because he hit something deep inside her. And that sounds really bad, but he probably did that too. The alpha in this example isn't about muscles and money. It's about imprint, it's about intensity. He was a man who triggered deep emotion, the one she can't forget no matter who comes next. And that's what's dangerous. Because when a woman bonds with chaos, peace doesn't feel exciting anymore. It feels dull. So when a good man steps into her life, consistent, dependable, respectful, she mistakes calm for boring. That's what alpha widowed means. That's what it really means. She's not chasing the man, she's chasing that feeling. She's trying to recreate that same emotional high, even if it comes from dysfunction. And the tragedy is the man who finally shows up ready to love her right ends up paying for the damage another man caused. So let's look at the psychology behind it. So, why does this happen? When a woman holds onto a man, why? Why does a woman hold on to a man who doesn't treat her right, even when she finds someone who does? It comes down to how the brain connects emotion and attachment. When a relationship is chaotic, full of highs, lows, and uncertainty, the brain links chaos with passion. Every argument, every fight, every emotional roller coaster releases dopamine. And dopamine doesn't care if the feeling is good or bad, it just rewards intensity. That's the trap. Because the bond isn't formed through peace or respect, it's built through emotional survival. The more unpredictable the relationship was, the stronger the imprint becomes. So when a woman finally meets a man who treats her well, calm, consistent, stable, her nervous system doesn't recognize it as love. It feels off. It feels flat. It feels boring. Not because the man is boring, but because her body is waiting for the chaos that used to mean connection. And here's another layer most men never think about. Sometimes it's not even about the man himself anymore, it's about validation. He left her, and deep down, she's still chasing the feeling of being chosen by the one who didn't want her. She doesn't truly want him back. She wants the version of herself that could make him want her back. It's not love, it's basically unfinished ego business. That's why most women don't get stuck on the man who treated them right. They get stuck on the ones who triggered the biggest emotional reactions: anger, confusion, heartbreak, lust. It's not the man she misses, it's the chemical rush, the idea of proving him wrong. So while a good man is offering peace, her system is still craving the storm, the shit storm, and the fantasy of validation from someone who's long gone. Until she breaks that cycle, no man, no matter how solid, will ever feel right to her. And this is the fallout for good men. Let's talk about that next, where that leaves good men. So, this is where a lot of good men break. You do everything right, you show up, you care, you stay consistent, and it still doesn't matter. She tells you, you're different. She says she's never met a man like you before. But something in her still feels distant, like you're competing with a memory she hasn't let go of. And that messes with a man's head. You start second guessing yourself, wondering what you're doing wrong. You start feeling like being good isn't enough anymore. That's the part nobody talks about. When a man loves a woman who's still emotionally attached to her past, he ends up carrying the weight of two relationships: hers with him, and hers with the ghost that she can't bury. It's exhausting. You pour into her, but the bucket has holes. No matter how much you give, it leaks out through all the cracks that someone else created. And after a while, it changes you. You stop doing little things. You stop giving effort. You stop trusting that your love will ever be enough, because it won't. Because when you've spent years, maybe a lifetime, being the good man for women who were still hung up on somebody who didn't treat them right, it starts to feel like women don't actually want to be treated well. It makes you question if kindness even matters anymore at all. You start thinking maybe being cold, detached, or emotionally unavailable is what women respond to because that's what their actions seem to show. That's how good men start to harden. Not because they stopped caring, but because caring stopped working. You go from romantic to guarded, open to cold. And the next woman who meets you doesn't get your best. She gets the version of you that love doesn't pay off. She gets the version of you that learned somewhere along the way in all of your heartbreak that love doesn't pay off. That's the real cost of this whole thing. It doesn't just destroy connection, it destroys belief. Belief that being a good man still matters. Belief that showing up counts for something. But here's the truth, it still does. You just have to stop giving it to people who aren't ready to receive it. Now, here's where things get a little touchy. I'm going to talk about body count and how it affects emotional imprinting. Here's a part that nobody wants to talk about, but every man needs to understand. The more men a woman's been with, the harder it comes for her to fully bond with the next one. It's not judgment. That's just how emotional imprinting works. Every man leaves something behind mentally, emotionally, physically. And those marks don't just fade because she says she's moved on, they stack. Every relationship, every hookup, every heartbreak, it leaves a trace. Her brain and body start to connect certain emotions to love, usually the wrong ones. Passion tied to pain, excitement tied to chaos, affection tied to anxiety. So by the time she meets a good man, that emotional wiring is scrambled. She can't feel what she used to feel, not because he's doing anything wrong, but because she's burned out emotionally from chasing highs that always crash. That's what body count really means. It's not a number, although it is. It's a record of how many emotional scars she's carrying. And when that list gets long enough, her ability to bond deeply with one man gets weaker. You're not just competing with one ex, you're competing with a collage of emotions, a highlight reel of every thrill, heartbreak, and mistake that came before you. And here's the brutal truth, the more times she's gone through that cycle, the more numb she becomes to genuine connection. Like we said before, peace starts to feel boring. Love starts to feel slow. And the good men stop trying because they realize there's no space left for them. That's why this kind of emotional baggage breaks good men. Because he's not fighting for her attention, he's fighting against her past. At some point, you have to stop trying to outlove a woman's past. You can't fix her by proving you're better than the man who hurt her. You can't compete with ghosts. If she's still emotionally tied to another man, you're not building a relationship. You're just living in the shadow of one. And no matter how patient, kind, or loyal you are, you'll always be playing from behind. The truth is, healing isn't something you can do for her. It's something she has to want bad enough to do for herself. Until she faces those patterns, she's going to repeat them. And you're just the next chapter in the same story. So here's what men need to understand: you can be a good man without being a foolish one. You can lead with kindness without abandoning your standards. You can care deeply and still walk away when you realize she's not ready to meet you where you are. Never come second to any man's memory. Point blank, period, full stop. Never beg for a place in a heart that's already occupied. If she's still living in the past, you owe it to yourself to leave her there. Because the longer you stay, the more you start to shrink. Your confidence erodes. Your self respect fades. And before long, you're the one needing to be healed from her. A real man knows when to give and he knows when to stop. Protect your peace before you try to protect hers. That's not cold. That's discipline. A lot of men get hardened by this, and I don't blame them. I have. When you keep showing up as the good man, doing everything right, and it still ends the same way, it changes you. It changed me. 100%. You start to lose faith that women even want what they say. And you start to think kindness doesn't matter. And that's a dangerous place for a man to live, to exist in. Because when you stop believing your effort means anything, you start pulling back from the world. You stop leading, you stop trusting, you stop loving with your full heart, complete, going all in. But here's the deal: your character still matters. Being good still matters. It's just not meant to be wasted on people who aren't ready for it. You can't save a woman from her past. You can only build a life strong enough that the past doesn't break you. The moment you stop chasing broken people, you start attracting healed ones. And I think also you attract them, but you start to be able to identify healed ones from broken ones. And that's an important skill. Unfortunately, it only comes with experience. So, yeah, this kind of pain hardens you. But don't let it hollow you out. Let it sharpen you. Let it teach you standards through experience. Let it remind you that a man of value doesn't chase people who can't recognize their value. Don't compete with ghosts. Don't chase validation. Build a life so solid, the past can't touch you. That's how you win. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Seth. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out immensely. And if you're still doom scrolling, check out one of these videos right over here because I'm sure it's right up your alley. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.